Welcome back, everybody. Today we're here to talk about The Walking Dead Season 11, Episode 5, and this is going to be my review of the episode. Remember, this is the early episode that aired on AMC+. Episode 4 is what aired on the cable channel, so if you're caught up to Episode 4, I have the review for Episode 4 on the channel as well if you want to go check that out. But if you haven't seen Episode 5, obviously general spoiler warning, as we will be talking about the whole episode. But yeah, that being said, like I said, general spoiler warning. Also, if you're a fan of The Walking Dead, be sure to subscribe. And yeah, let's get into the video. Alright, so overall, I thought it was a pretty good episode. There was a lot to like in this episode. I love when episodes focus on like a lot of characters. Like this episode, we focused on a lot of the characters, or a lot of the plots going on, I should say. You got the Commonwealth stuff, Negan and Maggie, and then everything going on in Alexandria. But for me, I think the highlight of the episode might have been the Alexandria and Hilltop stuff with the Whisperers. Particularly Aaron. Like, I loved him in this episode. He was awesome. And Aaron's been a character who I really like, and a character who I think deserves more interesting story arcs and storylines and just like interesting moments, and this episode was a good one for him. And of course, there was a ton to like with the Commonwealth as well. Those scenes were awesome. And then also with the Maggie and Negan stuff. But let's start off with the opening minutes. So those opening minutes were very, very scary. Like, they were just by themselves in the woods, and I was wondering like, what the heck is going on? But then when we heard the Savior whisper, not the Savior whisper, the Savior whistle, and then the Whisperers, I kind of thought like, okay, this might be a dream of like all these enemies that, Aaron has dealt with over the years, sort of haunting him in his dream. And I thought it was like a really interesting, thing they did on the show, because we've never really had something like that before on the show, where, a character having a nightmare about everything they've been through. Not as far as I remember. So that was really interesting. And I really like how they focused on Aaron for that situation, because, he's been on the show. He's been on the show for a long time, but he's been in Alexandria for a very long time. Like, he was the person who brought the group to Alexandria. So it makes sense for him to really care about Alexandria, and I like how they gave him that storyline. And then we had the Commonwealth video play, which I thought was such a, like, odd video. Like, I think even Princess said like cheesy video guy or something, because yeah, that video was extremely cheesy. And I liked how they nailed the old school look for it, like it looked like an old school recording, so I really liked that part of it. But yeah, the Commonwealth, wow. We got to see it up front, for the first time, and it's pretty crazy, what they have. Like, they have the bakery and the ice cream truck, and it's just like a whole world that we've never really seen before. So that was pretty cool to see come on screen. And yeah, we saw a lot of cool stuff with the Commonwealth, Yumiko reuniting with her brother, the group, the Eugene and the Stephanie stuff, getting ice cream. And then we had that one woman come and pick up ice cream for Pamela Milton. I'm pretty sure that, isn't that the actress who got announced for Stephanie, if I'm not mistaken, Margot Bingham? To me, it looked like her. So what if that was the real Stephanie? I still feel like there's something up with this whole situation, because they announced her to be Stephanie like over a year ago. And of course, things could change, especially given the delay for the season that happened. But I don't know. I feel like there's something more going on here. I feel like, and they put focus on that character. So either that's the real Stephanie, but also, maybe she should have, like, why didn't she recognize Eugene's voice? Like, maybe she was just in a rush, but we'll see. But yeah, they put focus on that character who apparently is like the original Stephanie. So we'll see. You guys let me know what you think. But I'm still thinking that that's the real Stephanie. And the woman that Eugene is talking to now isn't the real Stephanie, even though, like, I guess she was kind of helpful, but we'll see. Yumiko reuniting with her brother. I really did like that scene. That was pretty cool, because we usually don't have moments like that on the show where characters reunite with people before, like family members that they had, right? Like, just people before the apocalypse. Because, we've never really seen them together on the apocalypse, but I mean, obviously we have reunions like that all the time with characters who known each other within the apocalypse, but not usually before the apocalypse. So that was pretty cool. Do I wish it happened to a character who's been on the show a lot longer? Maybe. I mean, I think that would have been interesting. I mean, in the comics, I don't want to spoil it. I'm not gonna get into spoilers for the comics, but in the comics, it does happen to a character who's been around a lot longer. So I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. Like, it's not the biggest problem or anything, but with moments like that, like sometimes I just imagine, like, what if they did it to a character who's been on this show like for so long? Like, what if it happened to like Daryl or Carol? Like how crazy would that have been? But still, I like those scenes, and I like Yumako's brother. Like, he's a pretty cool, charismatic character. So definitely excited to see more of him. And then moving back to Alexandria, so we had like the walkers attacking. Like moments like that, we haven't had moments like that in a long time, and stuff like that has been missing on this show. Like, it reminded me of, like, there was a lot of moments in this episode that reminded me of older seasons. Like, this moment reminded me of like season 4, like the prison era, where like walkers would always like break in and they had to deal with that, stuff like that, or even like the farm, or any of the early like settlements. They always had like walkers breaking in and they had to deal with it. Like, that's been missing for a long time. So I think having moments like that is pretty good for this show, especially since it makes sense within their universe, right? Like, how long can they go without having a walker issue? So yeah, moments like that, they do work on the show. And then we also had Judith in this episode. She was like training those kids, and then also we had like those older kids dealing with or messing with the walkers, so she had to go put them in their place, which is pretty cool. And then she had that scene with Rosita, and I'm not gonna lie, that scene with Rosita was pretty heartbreaking when she said like everyone is gone, and she started tearing up, and she was worried that she was gonna forget them. I'm not gonna lie, I got a tear in my eye hearing that, because that was like very sad. And honestly, I was not expecting such a heavy scene like that, and just like out of nowhere. But yeah, that was pretty heavy. And then we also had Eren leading the group to the hilltop, so they saw they saw what was going on with the hilltop, and then the Whispers came back. So the Whispers were an issue again, and I love that they brought back, like, when the Whisperers showed up, I love how they brought back that Whisperer theme, just because it reminded me of like how epic that theme was, right? But yeah, Eren, wow, I mean, we saw a completely different side of him in this episode, and from a character's perspective, like, I liked it. Like, I like how we have, because there's a lot of characters in this show. There are a lot of characters in this show, and they have to find time to give each character, I think, a good storyline. Like, right now, one of my biggest complaints of the season is that they are not doing too much with Rosita. Now, the Rosita situation might be different. Maybe they're probably not doing that on purpose. Like, maybe the actress was super busy or something. Which is why she's only in a few scenes per episode or something. But the point I'm trying to make is that there are a lot of characters in this show, so it's great when they focus on characters, and give them good arcs rather than just like the main. I mean, Eren is a main character, but when they focus on characters other than like Negan, Maggie, and Daryl and Carol, so it's good to see other characters getting good storylines. But yeah, Eren was pretty brutal in this episode. So we saw the Whispers, and they all, they basically got away. So I wonder if they're going to come back and be a problem. I mean, I wouldn't imagine so, because their group is so small now. But apparently they were the ones who caused the issue in Alexandria. So who knows? Maybe they do come back. But we'll see. But I will say, though, I mean, I don't think it's going to be a major storyline in the season. But I thought it was pretty nice to see the Whisperers again, because they were, they are, I think, one of the best groups we've had on this show. So that was pretty cool. And then going over to Maggie and Negan. So there wasn't too much of them. It was mainly just them traveling to Meridian. But still, it's always cool to see them on screen together. Them fighting the walkers is pretty cool. And then they went into that little neighborhood and they went into houses and stuff like that. That was pretty cool, because that was another moment that reminded me of older seasons. Like, that reminded me of like season 4 in the earlier episodes. Like when they would be traveling and they come across like these neighborhoods that are like nobody lives there anymore. So yeah, I mean, we haven't had moments like that either for a while. So when they came across all those houses, it was just like, how long has it been since we've seen like a neighborhood on this show? You know what I mean? So Yeah, that was pretty cool, I guess. Nothing too major, but just little moments like that for some reason just resonate with me. Maybe just because I'm always nostalgic about older seasons. Um, but anyways, yeah. So they had some pretty cool scenes. Obviously they were they were arguing with one another again. There's sort of an opposite ends. Like Maggie wants to go to Meridian, Negan doesn't. But ultimately, it seems like they're going to go there. They met up with Elijah and Gabriel. So at least they have some more people with them, because I was thinking like just Maggie and Negan going all the way to Meridian is pretty dangerous. I mean, even still, they only have like 4 people and Gabriel's like injured. So we'll see what happens there. I mean, Daryl is also there. Frost is there. Leah might even be helpful to the group. So we'll see what happens. But yeah. And then we had some more Commonwealth stuff. So we had, Eugene calling over to Alexandria, which he got in trouble for. But that kind of tells us, I mean, maybe the Commonwealth could track that call for possibly. Like maybe they can find out where he radioed in, and that's how they find out about Alexandria. But they got in trouble over it. And that whole scene when they were in that room and that guy was like telling them about like the hearing they have to go through, to me that was a little funny, just because like when Princess was like saying they want to speak to their lawyer, I don't know if that was supposed to be like funny or not, but just her line delivery there, like, we want to speak to our lawyer. And then Ezekiel was like talking about how they have such a great lawyer. Like, there was something about that scene that I found funny, and I loved it. Like, I love the light humor that is going on within the Commonwealth, right? Like, with all the characters, there's like a bit of a light humor, and I do love that, because the thing is going on at Alexandria and the Reapers, that stuff is dark as heck. Like, there is no humor there whatsoever. So the Commonwealth, that group, Yumiko, Eugene, Ezekiel, and Princess, like, that group seems to be like, a little lighthearted. But yeah, we had Lance Hornsby show up, so it was pretty cool to see him. And it seems like they are going to get out of that situation. And maybe, I don't know, I'm still wondering, like, maybe they feel like they could use them to get to Alexandria, and maybe they can figure out where Eugene called. But there's still a lot to come forward with the Commonwealth. Excited to see Pamela, like, we heard her name this episode. So yeah, overall, like I said, this is a pretty long review, but there was a lot in this episode. Like, there was a lot of characters and a lot of groups being covered. So yeah, let me know, what do you think about the episode? Overall, like I said, I really enjoyed this one. This season has been great so far. Super excited for more to come. Be sure to stay tuned for my episode 6 trailer breakdown. That'll be coming out pretty soon as well. And be sure to subscribe if you're a fan of The Walking Dead in general, because we have a lot of content coming up. But yeah, as always, thanks for watching. Please take care, and I'll see you guys soon.